Commander Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the U.E.'s Thunderbolt. The massive warship floated in Earth's orbit. She watched the blue planet below with tired eyes. 3 years of peace had made everyone soft. The crew worked on routine tasks. Nobody expected what would happen next. "Commander, we have an incoming transmission," said Lieutenant Min-Jun Park. His fingers moved across the holographic display. "It's not from any human colony." Sarah straightened in her chair. "Put it on screen." A strange creature appeared on the main display. It had purple skin and forearms. Its large black eyes showed fear. The universal translator kicked in after a few seconds. "This is Ambassador Zex of the Althari Federation," the alien said. Its voice shook with panic. "We need help. The Zircon Empire attacks our worlds. They destroy everything. Millions die each day." The bridge crew looked at each other. First contact had happened 5 years ago. Humans knew about alien life, but no alien had ever asked Earth for military help before. "Why come to us?" Sarah asked. "The Galactic Council has many powerful species." Zex's tentacles drooped. "The Council refuses to act. They fear the Zircon too much. But we have heard stories about humans. Your species survived nuclear war. You turned a dead moon into a garden. You fight when others run." Sarah felt her jaw tighten. Behind Zex, she could see burning cities. Ships fell from orange skies. Children ran through streets filled with smoke. "The Zircon want to enslave the galaxy," Zex continued. "They have conquered 17 systems. We are the 18th. After us, they will come for you." Lieutenant Jung-Hoon Kim whispered from his station. "Commander, I'm detecting massive energy signatures near Althari space. It matches the profile of a full invasion fleet." Sarah stood up. Her grandfather had fought in Earth's last great war. He always said that evil grows when good people do nothing. She thought about the alien children in those burning streets. They looked different from human children, but fear was universal. "How many ships do the Zircon have?" Sarah asked. 3,000 warships, Zex replied. "Each one carries weapons that can crack a moon. Our fleet has only 200 vessels. We cannot win alone." The tactical officer, Commander Seo Yan Lai, pulled up a star map. "Commander, if the Zircon take Althari space, they'll control the main trade routes. They could strangle half the galaxy." Sarah made her decision. She turned to her communications officer. "Open a channel to Earth Command. Priority 1. Within minutes, Admiral Rodriguez appeared on a side screen. His face looked grim as Sarah explained the situation. "The politicians won't like this," Rodriguez said. "We're talking about entering someone else's war." "With respect, Admiral," Sarah replied, "it won't stay their war for long. The Zircon won't stop at Althari space." Rodriguez nodded slowly. "How many ships can you gather?" Sarah looked at her tactical display. "Give me 48 hours. I can assemble 500 vessels. Plus the new Titan-class dreadnoughts. You're authorized to act. Commander Chun, show them why nobody should underestimate humanity." The channel closed. Sarah turned back to Ambassador Zex. The alien's eyes had grown even wider. 500 ships? Zex asked. "But your species has only been in space for 50 years. How can you have so many warships?" Sarah smiled grimly. "We humans have been preparing for war our entire existence. We just never knew who we'd be fighting. Min-Jun, send the activation codes. Wake up the reserve fleet." Across Earth's solar system, hundreds of dormant warships came to life. Their reactors hummed with power. Weapon systems activated. Crews rushed to their stations. In the asteroid belt, the massive Titan dreadnoughts turned their bulk toward Althari space. "Ambassador Zex," Sarah said, walking closer to the screen. "Tell your people to hold on. Help is coming." And we're bringing enough firepower to make the Zircon regret they ever heard of the Althery. Zex's tentacles trembled with emotion. Thank you, Commander. The galaxy will remember this day. Sarah sat back in her command chair. She pressed the ship-wide communication button. All hands, this is the Commander. Prepare for jump to Althery space. We have a war to win. Asterisk, the human fleet assembled near Jupiter's moon Europa. Sarah watched from the Thunderbolt's observation deck as ship after ship dropped out of hyperspace. The sight took her breath away. Destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and carriers formed perfect formations. Each vessel carried humanity's most advanced weapons. Admiral Rodriguez arrived on the flagship UE's Vengeance, a Titan-class dreadnought. The massive ship stretched 3 kilometers long. Its hull bristled with railguns, plasma cannons, and missile pods. 3 more Titans joined the formation: Retribution, Havoc, and Fury. Commander Chun, report to the war room. Came the Admiral's voice. Sarah entered the war room to find it full of Earth's best military minds. General Nakamura from Mars Command stood next to Admiral Petrov from the Belt Defense Force. Captain Jackson from Special Forces looked ready for battle. Ambassador Zex waited in the corner, still amazed by the human response. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Rodriguez began, we have assembled 523 combat vessels. The Zircon have 3,000. Those aren't good odds. General Nakamura smiled. Admiral, when have humans ever cared about odds? We beat the Nazis when they had all of Europe. We survived the nuclear winter of 2089. Bad odds just make the victory sweeter. What's our tactical advantage? Asked Captain Jackson. Sarah activated the holographic display. The Zircon use standard galactic council tactics. They fight in straight lines. Their shields are strong but predictable. They've never faced human warfare. Meaning? Admiral Petrov asked. They've never seen Wolfpack tactics. They don't know about flanking maneuvers. They think in 2 dimensions while we think in 3. Sarah pointed to the battle simulation. More importantly, they've never faced nuclear weapons. Ambassador Zex's skin turned pale. Nuclear weapons are banned by the Galactic Council. They're considered too barbaric. Admiral Rodriguez crossed his arms. We never signed that treaty. The Zircon want to play rough? They're about to learn what rough really means. The tactical display showed Althery Prime. The planet looked like Earth, but with purple oceans. Zircon ships surrounded it like hungry wolves. Smoke rose from bombed cities. The Althery fleet fought bravely, but kept losing ground. How long can your people hold? Sarah asked Zex. Maybe 7 more days. Zex replied sadly. The Zircon General Zarkonian leads the assault personally. He has never lost a battle. Captain Jackson grinned. There's a first time for everything. Sarah studied the enemy positions. The Zircon fleet had spread out to maximize their bombardment. They felt safe. They felt untouchable. That would be their mistake. I propose we jump in here. Sarah pointed to empty space behind the Zircon fleet. They won't expect an attack from that angle. The Titans can punch a hole in their formation. Fast attack squadrons slip through and hit their command ships. What about their numbers advantage? General Nakamura asked. We use the Crazy Ivan maneuver, Sarah replied. Several officers whistled in appreciation. Half our fleet jumps in, fires everything, then jumps out before they can respond. The other half attacks from the opposite direction. 30 seconds later, we keep them spinning. Admiral Rodriguez studied the plan. It's risky. If they adapt quickly, we could lose everything. Sir, the Althery are dying right now, Sarah said. Every minute we wait, more civilians die. We need to hit hard and fast. Lieutenant Min Jun entered the room. Admiral, we're receiving reports from our scouts. The Zircon have started landing troops on Althery Prime. They're executing anyone who resists." The room fell silent. Every human officer thought the same thing. Earth had seen enough genocide. Never again. "All ships, prepare for combat jump," Admiral Rodriguez commanded. "We go in hot. No warnings. No negotiations. The Zircon want to act like monsters? Then we'll show them what real monsters look like." The human fleet began final preparations. Engineers loaded nuclear warheads into missile tubes. Marines checked their powered armor. Pilots climbed into their fighters. The usually cheerful mess halls turned quiet as soldiers ate what might be their last meal. Sarah found herself standing next to Ambassador Zex. The alien watched the human preparations with 4 wide eyes. "Your species prepares for war like it's a science," Zex observed. Asterisk. Sarah nodded. "That's because it is. We've had thousands of years to perfect it. The Zircon are about to get a master class in human warfare." Outside the observation windows, the stars seemed to dim. 500 human ships aligned their jump drives. In a few hours, they would either save the Aldari or die trying. But one thing was certain. The galaxy would never forget the day humans went to war. Asterisk. The space above Aldari Prime erupted into chaos. 500 human ships tore through hyperspace like angry hornets. The Zircon fleet, caught completely off guard, scrambled to respond. General Zarkonian's command ship, a massive black fortress called the Dominator, sat in the center of their formation. "All ships, execute Alpha Strike." Admiral Rodriguez commanded from the Vengeance. The 4 Titan dreadnoughts opened fire first. Hundreds of railguns launched tungsten rods at incredible speed. The projectiles smashed through Zircon shields like paper. Nuclear-tipped missiles followed, turning enemy frigates into expanding clouds of plasma. Commander Sarah Chun gripped her chair as the Thunderbolt dove into battle. "Attack Squadron 7. Follow my lead. Target their heavy cruisers." Min Jun's fingers flew across his console. "Enemy shields are failing. They weren't designed for kinetic weapons. The Zircon had relied on energy shields for centuries. They stopped lasers and plasma perfectly. But humans had learned long ago that sometimes a simple rock thrown fast enough beat any fancy technology. Incoming message from the surface. Jung Hoon reported. "The Aldari resistance is cheering. They're watching us on their screens." Through the chaos, Sarah saw Zircon ships trying to form battle lines. Their movements were slow, predictable. They fought like ancient naval ships on a flat ocean. The humans attacked from above, below, and every angle in between. Captain Jackson's marine transports launched boarding pods at damaged Zircon vessels. The pods drilled through hulls like metal parasites. Power-armored Marines poured into enemy ships, their weapons cutting down surprised Zircon soldiers. "This is Jackson. We've taken their supply ship. Found something interesting. Their soldiers have never fought in close combat. They're panicking." On the Dominator, General Zarkonian watched his perfect fleet fall apart. His 4 arms trembled with rage. No one had ever challenged the Zircon Empire like this. These humans fought without honor, without following the rules of civilized warfare. "General, we've lost 200 ships." His tactical officer reported. "The humans keep jumping in and out. We can't track them." "Impossible." Zarkonian roared. "We have them outnumbered 6-1. Admiral Rodriguez watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. The crazy Ave maneuver was working perfectly. Squadron after squadron jumped in, unleashed hell, then vanished before the Zircon could coordinate a response. SEO-YEON reported from her station. "Admiral, the enemy is trying to retreat to regroup." "Negative. We don't let them breathe," Rodriguez replied. "Launch the wolf packs. 50 small, fast destroyers broke from the main fleet. They moved like sharks, surrounding damaged Zircon ships and tearing them apart with coordinated attacks. The Zircon had never seen such brutal efficiency. Ambassador Zex watched from the Vengeance's bridge, his tentacles shaking. Your species? You fight like demons. Admiral Rodriguez never took his eyes off the battle. No, Ambassador. Demons would show mercy. We're humans. The Thunderbolt led a strike force toward 3 Zircon battleships bombarding Althery Prime. Sarah watched the enemy vessels, each one twice the size of her ship. Jung Hoon, target their reactor cores. Min Jun, prepare evasive pattern Delta. Commander, they're charging their main weapons. Seo Yan warned. Let them. Sarah smiled coldly. Fire torpedoes, full spread. 12 nuclear warheads streaked through space. The Zircon ships tried to shoot them down, but human ECM systems confused their targeting computers. The torpedoes hit home. 3 miniature suns bloomed where enemy battleships had been. On Althery Prime's surface, civilians watched the sky light up with explosions. Children who had hidden in bunkers came out to see their saviors in action. The purple skies, once filled with Zircon bombers, now showed human fighters chasing down enemy craft. General Zarkonian's voice echoed across all channels. Humans, you fight without honor. You use forbidden's weapons. The Galactic Council will punish you. Admiral Rodriguez opened a response channel. This is Admiral Rodriguez of Earthfleet. You attacked innocent civilians. You executed prisoners. You want to talk about honor? Here's humanity's response. The Vengeance fired its main gun. A massive railgun slug, the size of a building, crossed space in seconds. It punched through the Dominator's shields and tore a hole through its center. The mighty Zircon flagship listed to one side, venting atmosphere and bodies. General Zarkonian, Rodriguez continued, you have 1 hour to surrender. Otherwise, we'll show you what we did to our own cities in World War III. And trust me, you don't want to see humanity when we stop holding back. The battlefield grew quiet, except for the burning wreckage of Zircon ships. In just 3 hours, the unstoppable Zircon Empire had lost 700 vessels. The humans had lost only 30-2. General Zarkonian refused to surrender. His pride wouldn't allow it. From his damaged flagship, he sent a message to all Zircon forces across the galaxy. Send everything. Every ship, every warrior. The humans must be destroyed. In the Vengeance's war room, Admiral Rodriguez studied the incoming intelligence reports. They're pulling forces from 17 conquered systems. In 48 hours, we'll face 10,000 ships. Sarah felt the weight of those numbers. Sir, we can't fight that many. Not even with our tactics. Then we don't fight them, Rodriguez replied. We make them fight each other. Ambassador Zex looked confused. How? General Nakamura pulled up a star map. The Zircon Empire rules through fear. Their subject races hate them, but can't rebel. What happens if we give them hope? Sarah's eyes widened with understanding. We broadcast our battle footage to every conquered world. Exactly, Rodriguez nodded. Min Jun, can you hack their communication network? The young officer cracked his knuckles. Give me 2 hours, Admiral. I'll make sure every screen in Zircon space shows our victory. While Min Jun worked his technical magic, the human fleet prepared for the storm ahead. Engineers worked without sleep, repairing damaged ships. The factory ship UES Forge produced new missiles and ammunition around the clock. On Althery Prime, human marines helped evacuate cities. Captain Jackson found himself face to face with Althery children. They looked at him with their large black eyes, touching his armor with curious tentacles. Are you angels? One child asked through the translator. Jackson removed his helmet, showing his scarred human face. No, kid. We're just humans. We don't like bullies. The child's parent approached, tears flowing from all four eyes. You saved us when the galaxy abandoned us. How can we ever repay you? Fight, Jackson replied simply. When the Zircon return, fight beside us. Across the planet, something amazing happened. The Althari, who had been ready to surrender, found new courage. They pulled out hidden weapons. Former soldiers put on old uniforms. Even civilians picked up tools that could serve as weapons. Minjun's hack worked perfectly. On every Zircon-controlled world, screens showed human ships destroying the invincible Zircon fleet. The footage spread like wildfire through secret networks and underground communications. On Kepler 442b, the enslaved Vortic race watched humans use nuclear weapons against their oppressors. They had been slaves for 50 years. Now they whispered a new word: rebellion. On Proxima Centauri, the peaceful Quellans saw human marines fighting in close combat. The Zircon had told them no one could stand against Zircon warriors. The lie died with the footage. Jung-hoon monitored communications from across the galaxy. Admiral, we're detecting uprising on 7 Zircon worlds. The slave races are fighting back. General Zarkonian received the same reports. His empire, built on fear, began cracking. Recall half the reinforcement fleet. We need to maintain order. This was exactly what Rodriguez had hoped for. Instead of 10,000 ships, they would face 5,000. Still terrible odds, but better. Sarah led reconnaissance missions to the edge of the system. What she found made her blood run cold. The Zircon had brought planet killers, massive ships designed to crack worlds in half. They're going to destroy Althari Prime if we don't surrender, she reported. Rodriguez's face hardened. Then we take those ships first. Prepare Operation Mongoose. Seo-Yan raised an eyebrow. Mongoose, sir? An earth animal that kills snakes, Rodriguez explained. Small, fast, and absolutely fearless. The plan was insane. Volunteer pilots would fly fighters loaded with nuclear weapons directly into the planet killer's main weapons. It was a suicide mission. Within minutes, 300 pilots volunteered. Lieutenant Minjun stood up. I volunteer, Admiral. Sarah grabbed his arm. Minjun, no. He looked at her with calm eyes. Commander, my grandfather died fighting for Korean independence. My father died in the Mars Rebellion. I won't let these monsters destroy another world. Across the fleet, similar scenes played out. Humans from every nation, every colony, stepped forward. They knew the cost. They paid it willingly. The Zircon reinforcement fleet arrived earlier than expected. 5,000 ships dropped from hyperspace, their weapons charging. At their center, 3 planet killers aimed at Althari Prime. Admiral Rodriguez stood on his bridge. All ships, all pilots, this is it. Today, we show the galaxy why humanity survived every disaster, every war, every challenge. Today, we prove that humans don't just fight, we win. For Earth, for Althari, for freedom. The human fleet, outnumbered 10-1, charged toward destiny. The final battle began with 300 human fighters streaking toward the planet killers. Lieutenant Minjun led the suicide squadron, his fighter loaded with humanity's most powerful nuclear warhead. The Zircon fleet opened fire, turning space into a deadly light show. Stay on target. Minjun commanded as fighters exploded around him. Remember why we're here. Behind them, the main fleets clashed. Admiral Rodriguez executed flanking maneuvers that would be studied for centuries. The 4 Titans fought like ancient gods, their weapons turning Zircon dreadnoughts into scrap metal. Sarah watched Minjun's squadron on her screen, tears in her eyes. Give them covering fire. Everything we have. The Thunderbolt and her sister ships launched every missile, fired every gun. They carved a path through the Zircon lines, buying precious seconds for the suicide squadron. On the first planet killer, alarms screamed. The Zircon crew watched in horror as human fighters ignored their own survival, diving straight at them. "They're insane." A Zircon officer screamed. "They're killing themselves." Min Jun's fighter took hit after hit. His shields failed. His left engine exploded. But he kept flying straight and true. In his mind, he saw every Aldari child, every enslaved race, every future generation that would live free because of this moment. For humanity. He shouted, triggering the warhead. The explosion was visible from Aldari Prime's surface. The planet killer's main weapon overloaded, setting off a chain reaction. The massive ship tore itself apart from the inside. 2 more explosions followed as other pilots found their marks. All 3 planet killers died in nuclear fire. But the cost was terrible. All 300 volunteer pilots were gone. General Zarkonian watched his ultimate weapons disappear. For the first time in his life, he felt fear. These humans didn't fight for conquest or glory. They fought with something the Zircon had never understood: sacrifice. "General," his aide reported, "we're receiving reports from across the Empire. The rebellion is spreading. 12 more worlds have risen up." The Zircon fleet began to fracture. Ships were recalled to defend core worlds. Others simply fled, their crews terrified of human determination. Admiral Rodriguez seized the moment. "All ships full assault. Drive them back." The battle turned into a massacre. Zircon ships, demoralized and outnumbered by fury, if not by numbers, broke formation. The organized retreat became a panicked flight. Captain Jackson's Marines had boarded the Dominator during the chaos. They fought through corridor after corridor, advancing toward the bridge. Jackson himself led the charge, his armor scarred but unbroken. They found General Zarkonian alone on his bridge, abandoned by his crew. The 4-armed general stood tall, trying to maintain dignity in defeat. "You humans are monsters," Zarkonian said. "You fight without rules, without mercy." Jackson removed his helmet. "No, General. We fight with purpose. You conquered for power. We fought for freedom. That's why you lost." The general activated his communication system one last time. "All Zircon forces, withdraw from Aldari space. Withdraw from all rebellious systems. The war is ... over." Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire. The Zircon Empire, which had terrorized space for centuries, retreated to their core worlds. Slave races celebrated in the streets. The Galactic Council, which had watched in fearful silence, suddenly found courage to condemn Zircon aggression. On Aldari Prime, Ambassador Zex stood before the assembled human fleet. His voice carried across all channels. "Humans of Earth, you answered our call when no one else would. You sacrificed your lives for strangers. You fought an empire and won. The Aldari will never forget. The galaxy will never forget." Sarah stood on the Thunderbolt's bridge, looking at the empty chair where Min Jun had sat. Similar scenes played out across the fleet. 800 human ships had entered the battle. 512 returned home. But they had saved billions of lives and freed 17 worlds. Admiral Rodriguez received a transmission from Earth. The world president appeared on screen, tears in her eyes. "Admiral, Earth has been watching. The entire planet stopped to witness our forces in action. You've shown the galaxy who we are. Come home, heroes." 3 days later, the human fleet departed Aldari space. But they left behind more than just freed worlds. They left a legend. They left Hope Dot in the years that followed. "Remember the humans" became a rallying cry across the galaxy. When tyrants rose, When evil threatened, species would remember the day humans brought unstoppable force to save strangers. The Zircon Empire never recovered. Their subjects remembered human nuclear fire and human sacrifice. They remembered that someone had stood up to evil and won an Earth. Earth became the guardian of the weak, the protector of freedom. Not because humans sought power, but because they remembered their own history of suffering and chose to prevent others from experiencing the same. The galaxy had called for aid. Humanity had answered with unstoppable force. And in doing so, they had shown the universe what it truly meant to be human. Asterisk.